Welcome. Blah, 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 blah. The cough gun. Welcome to the Season 3, Episode 70 of the AVG Host with the Most. I'm here with my boy, Tyler Revelis, also known as your boy T. My name's Michael Markenio, like I already said. I don't know why I'm telling you twice. The name's so nice, I told you twice. We're going over Thursday night football. We got the Titans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. It's in Tennessee. Is that right?
It is.
Yeah, okay. I'm so unconfident that I know the answer and I still double check.
Yep.
But yes, we got the Thursday night football game coming up. Or when you're watching this, it's probably today. Well, listen, it's going to be a good matchup. We're going to tell you who to start, who to sit in this matchup. Very important stuff. It's week 10. We're going into there's only 4 more weeks until the playoffs. In some leagues, FFPC league, you're about to start pretty soon.
Yeah, we're time for the nitty-gritty.
It's time for the nitty-gritty. So it's really important to make the right calls on these last couple weeks. Maybe not get too cute with these start sits. But yeah, we're going to go over that. And we're going to also go over some buy low. We're going to go over some people you want to target going into the playoffs. People you want to trade right now that have terrible playoff matchups. And then people who have decent matchups going into the playoffs that you might not realize. So a little buy, sell for you on that as well. That's going to be after we do the Thursday night football matchup preview. Also, if you have not enough time to listen to the entire podcast or watch the entire show, go ahead and check us out in the description. We have the table of contents there. It's a good way for you to be able to navigate through the episode without having to listen to the whole entire thing. I'll just say this, that I get it. Everybody doesn't have enough time, so it's a really useful tool. Those timestamps are clickable on YouTube, but on the Apple Podcast app, they are not, so you'll have to scrub through on that one. But while you're on the Apple Podcast app, go ahead and subscribe to us. If you already subscribed, unsubscribe, and then resubscribe. If you want to leave us a rating and review on there, that also helps us out big time. Big time.
Big time.
And if you leave us a review, I'll read it out loud on the podcast. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube. Yeah. Check us out, baby. And if you don't know already, we can't do live streams. So if you follow us because of live streams, we can't do them for a while. Got ourselves a copyright strike. But once that's over, we'll be, back into it. Getting those live streams out there. I think I covered everything. Did I? I don't know. I can't think. Yeah, I think we're ready.
I think you did a phenomenal job over there.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. So we're jumping into this Thursday night preview. Actually, I think that's the Monday Night Football drop, but that's just a good drop. I mean, I feel like you just like it, you feel it, you enjoy it.
It's I like watching the old school. I don't know if you ever watched like the promos for old school like games. My dad sent me like an old Steelers game from the 70s, and he was like, the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on and it just has like old school NFL music playing. It just gets my wiener working, baby. Sorry. But we'll start with the Colts side of the ball. We always go quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Whether or not we'll play that defense as well. So let's start on the Colts side of the ball first, the away team, just how we always do it. We got Phillip Rivers. Are you taking the chance on Phillip Rivers, starting him or sitting him going into week 10?
It's definitely a no for me, though.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Great use of the drop there. It's Randy Jackson. Randy Jackson says no. I'm also going to say no. I just can't trust this guy. He's got the best O-line in the league, arguably, and he can't get anything done. In the air, he makes T.Y. Hilton look terrible. And it's no wonder that Keenan Allen is having this like fantastic year now that Phillip Rivers is gone. I mean, Justin Herbert's just lighting it up.
Yeah, I mean, Keenan Allen's just pretty good in general.
But you know what I mean, though? Like, he's had 1,000-yard seasons, but, he's really, like, dialing it up, and he's gone up, to another tier of wide receiver, I feel like, this year.
Yeah, he's pretty good. It's Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would not be playing Phillip Rivers in this matchup. You got some good streaming options. You got Jared Goff, who's our stream of the week. He's available in a lot of leagues. Even Drew Lock, who was our stream.
I like Drew Lock.
For last week, Drew Lock, he put up 29 points. Another good matchup for Drew Lock. He's going to be playing against the Las Vegas Raiders. I just don't like Rivers. I mean, yeah, he's a couple games ago, he's coming off back-to-back 3-touchdown games, but then last week he was my sit playing against the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, that was kind of, a no-brainer. He comes out and puts up a dead game. But another short week. It's a division game. They're on the road. I know Tennessee's pass defense has been, nothing that you're like shying away from. But on the flip side, I just don't feel confident in Phillip Rivers. So, yeah, I would be sitting Felipe Rios for some better options like we just mentioned.
I'm with you on that. So let's move on to the running back here. We got Jonathan Taylor, boy out of Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is probably the biggest question mark. You got Jonathan Taylor right here. It's a decent matchup against the Tennessee Titans defense here. But, I mean, last week only 6 carries, 27 yards. He fumbles, so he gets you in the end zone. So he kind of saves your fantasy day, gets you like around 9 points.
Yeah, it doesn't give you a dud.
Doesn't give you a dud, but nothing crazy. It kind of gives you like a Jordan Howard type of game. I guess you could call that 20 yards and a touchdown is a Jordan Howard game.
Yeah, you could call it that.
But, yeah, you had Jordan Wilkins, who's kind of coming in and, beginning a little bit more acclimated. I mean, the splits were pretty much 33 and 33%. Jordan Wilkins, Jonathan Taylor, and Nyheim Hines. I mean, how are you feeling about Jonathan Taylor? Are you confident starting any of these running backs, or is it just you want to stay away from it?
I mean, you can make the argument to flex Jonathan Taylor in this matchup, but yeah, I mean, if anything, I'm gonna look towards Jonathan Taylor. I know Jordan Wilkins has been getting more involved, but I don't know. I could be wrong in this, but it doesn't make sense to me for them to get Jonathan Taylor in the draft and then be putting Jordan Wilkins in. If any of them, I feel like I'm going to start Jonathan Taylor over Jordan Wilkins or Nyheim Hines.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to start any of them, I agree with you. It's Jonathan Taylor for me. I know he's been kind of fumbling and stuff like that, and he is kind of more touchdown dependent right here. He's not really getting utilized in the passing game at all. That's Nyheim Hines' role, and then Jordan Wilkins obviously is snaking some carries from him too. But the matchup's not bad, like I said, and to me he's like a low end RB2. He's not sexy. He's going to have to fall into the end zone, but I think when they get in close, they'll probably still give him the ball unless he fumbles. If he fumbles again, though, I mean, we might see like a changing of the guard in a sense where they start to really give Jordan Wilkins the ball a little bit more. I mean, Jordan Wilkins, the last 2 weeks, he's had more carries in the last 2 weeks than he pretty much did the whole entire first 6 games or 7 games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean is you look at the entire offense. I'm going to look at the guy who's been getting involved more for a longer length of time than the Jordan Wilkins, who could be just, he's been hot lately, or maybe it's going up against certain defenses scheme. They played the Ravens last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that, maybe they have a bunch of tape on Jonathan Taylor. They want to switch it up and, do these different backs, trying to switch it up against that tough Ravens defense. I don't know if in this matchup they do the same thing. I feel like they have the ability to just run the ball to Jonathan Taylor over and over again in this matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me just throw some names out here. We'll just play Jonathan Taylor, or you got Jonathan Taylor or Melvin Gordon against the Raiders.
I might have to go Melvin Gordon on that one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Melvin Gordon on that one. I think that game would be a little bit more competitive, and they won't be getting blown out like they have in the last couple games where they've had to abandon the run.
Yeah.
So I'll go Melvin Gordon on that one too. You got Jonathan Taylor or Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones is playing at Carolina against the Panthers.
I'm gonna say Jonathan Taylor, just because they've been giving Fournette a lot of run. The Bucks did look stagnant, so I do think that they come out and have a decent game against the Panthers, because they had they got to prove themselves after last week. So I would say but even that being said, Leonard Fournette's been getting too involved, so I'm gonna go Jonathan Taylor on that one.
Yeah. What about Jonathan Taylor? I agree with you on that one. I'll go Jonathan Taylor over Ronald Jones. You got Jonathan Taylor or Duke Johnson. Let's say if David Johnson doesn't play.
Um,
See, this is kind of tricky though because now it's like, all right, do I hold on for Duke Johnson or do I just go with Jonathan Taylor? I mean, David Johnson. That some of the reports are that he might not play. So would you hold out for a guy like Duke Johnson who's going to get the full workload over there for the Texans?
No.
Or are you just going to go with the safe bet?
No, I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor over Duke.
Yeah. That one's tricky because if you knew Duke was going to be the main guy there and David Johnson was going to miss, I would go Duke Johnson over Jonathan Taylor. But it is kind of tricky with the whole Thursday night game.
Yeah, like unless you have a third option, but I can't imagine if you got I don't know. Because I'm assuming if you have Duke Johnson, you probably had David Johnson. So that's probably why you grabbed him there. So, yeah, I don't know. You could have a third option, though, in that situation.
Yeah. All right, one more. Jonathan Taylor or Zach Moss against the Cardinals?
I might go Taylor.
They're kind of in the same tier, like as guys who they
Rookies.
should see around 12 touches, give or take, some goal line work. It's kind of like who falls into the end zone.
Yeah.
Because like it's both those guys can end up with 12 carries, 60 yards, but who falls into the end zone at the end of the day? He's just I think what we're getting at is he's kind of like a touchdown-dependent, low-end RB2, Jonathan Taylor here. Depending on who you got, you might be able to get away from him. But if you have to throw him in there as your RB2, I mean, just expect, the ceiling isn't very high, and the floor could be pretty low.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
It's crazy because
I wouldn't start Nyheim Hines or Jordan Wilkins.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Wilkins might be like a sneaky, speculative ad. You go grab him, and then if Jonathan Taylor continues to fumble like he did when he was back in college, maybe they start to kind of lean towards Wilkins since he's the veteran and Taylor still is the rookie, having some rookie struggles. So maybe just a guy you go out and grab and just throw him on your bench. Because if he comes out and he does have like a monster game, he's going to be a number one waiver wire pickup. But
Shell. Let's move on to the wide receiver right here. We got T.Y. Hilton. You want to hit that drop for me?
It's definitely a no for me, though.
I can't do it, dude. T.Y. Hilton, it's like I said earlier, he looks terrible after Phillip Rivers taking over in that offense. I just can't. I was excited for this offense, but fuck, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I just can't.
I think he's one of the players that you were expecting kind of a bounce back season for him, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Phillip Rivers. I don't know if he's just not 100%.
If you look at his stats, he really hasn't been good since Andrew Luck's been gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't know.
It's crazy because in one of my leagues, I kind of need it's a double flex league, and I'm looking for that second flex option. I had Gus Edwards in there, but Mark Ingram's supposed to come back, so that kind of dilutes Gus Edwards' value unless he falls into the end zone. So T.Y.'s out there, and I'm trying to justify let me go pick him up and throw him in my lineup, but at the same time, it's one of how you always say it. I would rather be wrong and not have him in my lineup than be right and have him in my lineup. And by right, by being he has a bust game.
You don't want to wake up Friday and be like, why the fuck did I put T.Y. Hilton?
Why?
Because here's the thing, you're gonna also want to put him in your flex spot because you probably have two other receivers, and then you're gonna be screwed on your flex spot going into Sunday.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing. If you have anyone playing tomorrow, usually what you want to do is you want to throw them into your main running back or wide receiver spot. That way you can leave that flex spot open. Just in case something happens, you have some flexibility to make some moves.
Yep. Truly.
But I just can't see it from T.Y. I think he's had one game where he's had over 10 PPR points. Could he come out and have a good game? Of course, it's T.Y. Hilton. I mean, he's done it for so long, for so many years. It wouldn't shock me. But on the flip side, I mean, it's 6 or 7 games where he's just been non-existent in this passing attack. Rivers is not dialing in on him. He's kind of spreading the ball around to everyone, these tight ends, all the different receivers, the running backs. So, as you said earlier,
it's definitely a no for me, though.
Okay, we'll move on to the next receiver here. We got Michael Pittman Jr., the rookie from USC. He was starting to get more involved, and then he had the injury. I can't remember what it was. I think it was maybe, what was it? His wrist? No, it was his leg. I can't remember exactly what it was. I actually went and looked at his YouTube because he has a vlog, him and his girlfriend. But he's had 2 surgeries for that. It's not some, hamstring thing that he's coming back from. And he even talked about he's never really had an injury before. So that being said, he is coming back. I don't know if I'm not trusting T.Y. Hilton, I don't know if I can trust Michael Pittman. I mean, I don't know if you differ in opinion. Maybe you could sell me on it. I don't know.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be starting him either. I don't know if I feel confident starting any of these wide receivers, to be honest with you. I'd have to be like in a pinch where I just had, like I said, I'm in a pinch and T.Y. Hilton's on the waiver wire and I still don't even want to go grab him. I'm just like, it just sounds gross. So I think Michael Pittman would be another guy where maybe you go out and you grab him and you stash him. I mean, he's a big body receiver, getting a little bit more incorporated. Last game, he had 4 catches for 56 yards on 7 targets. So it'd be nice if he comes out and has another game where he gets you like 5 for 50 again. Maybe he gets into the end zone. That'd be a nice little game right there. So if he comes back with another game, back-to-back decent games, then I think he could be someone going forward down the stretch that you could feel a little bit more comfortable starting as like a wide receiver 3 or a flex option. So yeah, maybe go out and grab him and stash him.
Yeah, like a speculative.
But I don't know if I would feel confident start throwing him into my lineup.
I'm with you on that, like a speculative ad.
Yeah,
I'll do that. Sounds good to me. That's about it though. We'll go on to Zach Pascal. I know we were saying it for all the other guys. What do you think? Same thing? Same kind of concept with this guy here?
Yeah, just same thing. I mean, I feel like he's been the most like consistent receiver as of late. I mean, he's had 40 or more yards in 4 of his last 5 games, but he hasn't had more than 60 yards in any single game. So kind of a safer floor compared to those other guys. But again, it's just gross. I feel like the receiver position is so deep, and there's just so many options that you can go out and go get someone better.
I'm just trying to even like imagine a scenario where I would feel obligated to play Zach Pascal, and I just like can't really picture it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I just think there's a lot of better options, but
maybe like in DFS, he's probably dirt cheap, but that's about it.
Yeah. Okay, we can go on to the tight ends here. We got Mo, Allie, Cox. You said Jack Doyle is out. Do you think this gives an uptick to Mo, Allie, Cox? Because there is still Trey Burton there too, who we'll talk about in a second. Or I guess we could talk about both of them.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to start one of these guys, and it's just a pure guess of flipping the coin, I'm going to go Mo, Allie, Cox, just because he's like the more bigger, more athletic tight end, in my opinion. A guy where you kind of just throw it up, and he just goes out and out rebounds everyone. So maybe he gets an end zone. We do see how Rivers likes to lean on the tight end position. But on the flip side, could it be Trey Burton who comes out and has a good game? It could. If I could get away from either one of these guys, I would. Go check your waiver wire. See if Austin Hooper's out there. He was a guy we talked on in the waiver wire episode. He was available in over 50% of leagues because he got the emergency appendectomy, so he missed a couple games. Then they had the bye week, so he was available in a ton of leagues. But go get Austin Hooper. I'm telling you right now, go get Austin Hooper. I would play him in a heartbeat over him.
Go get him.
Go get Austin Hooper.
Go get him. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I mean, neither of these guys are sexy. You're looking for a touchdown. That's about it.
All right. Well, how about Colts, before we go on to the Titans, how about Colts defense? Oh, my God. I just spilled monster all over my keyboard. Literally went in my keyboard.
Nice. Colts defense, I wouldn't be mad at it. There's probably some better streaming options. You got the Packers who are at home against the Jaguars. You got the Bears who are available and shockingly in a good amount of league. They're going to be at home Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins always struggles in primetime games, and the weather's supposed to be cold and windy, so probably not a lot of points are going to be put up in that game. I'm not mad at starting the Colts defense, but if you can get away from it, I would get away from it.
Yeah, I think we're good. Okay, sorry. For the audio listeners, I literally spilt monster in the computer, in the fucking keyboard.
There was no fucking flub.
But I think we should be all right. Yeah, let's go on to the Tennessee Titans here. We'll talk about Ryan Tannehill. This Colts defense is supposed to be pretty good. Does that make you not want to play Ryan Tannehill?
He would be like a low-end QB1, high-end QB2. Like I said, there's some better options. You got Jared Goff. I brought him up earlier. Tannehill, for what it's worth, I mean, he has thrown 2 or more touchdowns in 5 straight games. But, I mean, for a guy who we're always preaching on, like, such a safe floor of, like, he gets 19 or more points pretty much every single week, 3 straight weeks of under 18 points. It's been some tough matchups against the Steelers. Then he had a dud game against the Bengals in Cincinnati for whatever reason. Then another tough game at home against the Chicago Bears. It doesn't get any easier when you're at home against the Indianapolis Colts, which is the division foe. So they're used to seeing Tannehill. They actually limited Tannehill last year. I'm not sure if it was 1 or 2 games they played, but they played at least one of the games I know. They limited Tannehill pretty good. He only had 13 points or 14 points in the game against them. So if I could get away from Tannehill this week, I would. I would rather go with some better options.
It's almost like T.J. Watt and Bud Dupree, ruined him.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Tannehill hasn't topped 250 yards in 3 straight weeks, so I just think the ceiling is not there. He would need a couple big A.J. Brown touchdown plays to kind of make it the day. Does he come out and he comes out and throws 3 touchdowns and 200 yards? I mean, that's a possibility, but I just don't see the ceiling this week compared to other weeks. And the floor hasn't been as safe as it normally has in prior weeks as well. So I'd be looking for some different streaming options if possible.
I feel it. All right, well, let's go on to the running back, Derrick Henry. I mean, you got to play him.
Fuck it, send it in.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, what else are you going to say? Derrick Henry, you got to what are you, stupid? Put him in. Put him in. That's all you got to say about Derrick Henry. He's just you got to start him every week.
Yeah.
Let's go on to A.J. Brown, the wide receiver here. A.J. Brown, I think you got to start him.
I think A.J. Brown, he's one of those guys where you set it and forget it. I was reading something or listening to something the other day. They're talking about A.J. Brown's one of those guys where it could be like almost halftime, and he's got 0 points, and you could be panicking. You'd be like, man, A.J. Brown's got me 0 points. And then all of a sudden you'll refresh your screen, and it'll be like 20 points because they'll get you like maybe not 20 points, but it'll be like 15 points, because he gets you like a 90-yard touchdown or something like that. So, he has that big playability. You're starting A.J. Brown.
He's just a big guy, fast, gets open, can moss people. It's just, it's a problem for defenses.
We were listening to
him on Bussin' with the Boys.
Yeah, him on Bussin' with the Boys with, is it Taylor Lewan?
Yeah, Taylor Lewan, the left tackle for the Titans.
Yeah, and it's just kind of, I feel like too many people don't get into the mental aspect of the game. Like, I get it. This guy can run fast. He can jump fast. He's shredded and all these things. But it's like, at the end of the day, mentally, if you're not in the right place, how can your body perform at the highest level? Some of these guys, like, they might be the most athletic people on the field, but in their mind, like, they made it to the league and they're satisfied. They're happy. They're like, oh, I got paid. I got a house. I got a car. I got some bling. They're not striving for anything anymore.
They don't want to win. He wants to win.
So, but you hear A.J. Brown talking about how his goal is to be the best receiver in the NFL in 3 years. And they're talking about, like, who is it, DK or you? And, he was talking about some of the guys who he really liked and wanted to be like.
And he talked about guys that were – it was a great podcast. Yeah. But he was talking about – he said he loved Amari Cooper. He's like, he doesn't get the credit, but his route running, he's like, if he doesn't want that person to catch you, the guy pays attention and he knows what makes a receiver good. And he loves Julio Jones, and I think he has the ability to become – not the next Julio Jones, but comparable. Yeah,
like one of the top 10 receivers going on in the future. Once Julio and D-Hop and these guys kind of pass the torch, he's going to be one of those guys going forward. But the point I'm getting is A.J. Brown, he wants to be the best, so he's always going to be striving to do his best.
He's motivated.
So you're definitely playing A.J. Brown every week.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a good podcast, though. But you don't see them talking to Corey Davis. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That being said, let's talk Corey Davis. Corey Davis had 3-4 weeks of 5 weeks of really good fantasy points. He puts up a dud last week. Are you completely writing off Corey Davis, or do you think you could maybe start him in this matchup?
I wouldn't be mad if you wanted to flex Corey Davis in this matchup. If you're in a double flex league, go for it, or as like a third wide receiver. I know there's a lot of 3 wide receiver leagues out there. I wouldn't be mad at it. I get it. He puts up a dud. He gets you a 0. But prior to that, 12 or more PPR points in all 5 games he's played. He's had a touchdown in 3 of 5 games, and he's had 100 or more yards in 2 of the 5 games. And now I get it. I just said Tannehill we're not expecting the high ceiling from Tannehill this game, but could Corey Davis come out and get you 5 for 40 and a touchdown? Yeah, I think so. I think he'll still have a decent floor where he'll come out and put up a decent amount. If you want to sit him because he burned you, I understand it 100%. But you got to remember, guys like Brandon Cooks, guys like Calvin Ridley, they came out and they got some goose eggs. Will Fuller got a goose egg one week, but the next week they bounce back and put up some pretty good numbers. So don't let the goose egg discourage you from potentially starting him. depending on how deep your roster is, I feel like people were picking up Corey Davis on the waiver wire, or he was
Definitely
getting drafted in like the 15, 16 rounds. So you're probably pretty deep at the wide receiver position as it is. So you might not be forced to throw him into your lineup, but you got some bye weeks. I mean, you got the Chiefs on a bye. I can't really think of anyone else on the top of my head, but you got some. The Falcons are on a bye,
Yeah.
so if you like, hey, I just need a guy.
Yeah, you
who
had
come out there.
Julio.
I'm not mad at it. I always say it: men lie, women lie, the numbers don't lie. I'll bank on a guy who's gotten me 12 or more points in 5 of the 6 weeks. Those are good percentages, so I still feel a little bit confident.
Yeah, those percentages are nice. Even though last week.
Yeah, he'd be a guy I'd be trying to potentially, if someone is fed up because they got a 0 on them, I'd try to throw something out there.
Especially maybe if he has a bad week this week. Colts defense is actually pretty good.
Yeah, so not a must start, but if you need to start him, I
can
feel,
flex him.
I feel more confident than the 0 he got.
I could see you throw him in flex as a wide receiver too, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like how we talked about before. Don't put it in your flex. Let's go on to the tight end, Jonnu Smith here. Jonnu is just as he seems to be touchdown dependent. For a while, I love this guy, but he's had some crappy games. Last week he kind of saved you. I think he went 2 for 40 and a touchdown. He kind of saved you on the touchdown there, but I still think he's up there, and you can play Jonnu Smith every week. I think the tight end landscape is rough. Unless you're going out and picking up Austin Hooper, but even then, that's just me. I hate the Browns, but I think you can start Jonnu Smith. You can tell me if you disagree or not.
Yeah, I mean, he's arguably one of the top tight ends who has the highest touchdown upside any given week, and we've seen him go out there and get double-digit touchdowns. So I mean, that at one point could win you your whole entire week. You get a tight end who gets you 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Just something I've noticed. The first 4 weeks, he got you 4 or 5 receptions, and then he was finding the end zone on a consistent basis. These last 4 weeks, though, he's either getting you 1 catch or 2 catches. Now, I have no idea if this is correlating or not, but Taylor Lewan it's Taylor Lewan, right? He tore his ACL, right? So could it be that since they lost, their Pro Bowl tackle,
he's blocking more? It could be that.
Instead of running routes, because they're like, hey, we lost. I mean, you lose a Pro Bowl tackle, it's not easy to replace a guy like that. So maybe they're like, hey, Jonnu, we need you, instead of you being able to run as many routes
on the left side.
We need you to block a lot more, especially for when the Titans want to run the football with Derrick Henry. They don't care about throwing the football as much. So I think that could be a scenario where losing Taylor Lewan has really hampered his upside because he's blocking more than running routes.
Yeah, because it's like he got 2 targets last week and caught 2. So it's 32 yards.
It just depends on who else you have. Let's go over some names real quick. We could do that because I think that'd be a pretty good one. He's got some good, like I said, some touchdown upside, but the receptions and the targets just have not been there these last couple weeks. But you got Jonnu Smith or TJ Hawkinson?
I'd play Jonnu.
I'm going Hawkinson. I think he's been one of the most consistent tight ends outside of Kelsey all year long. And then no Galladay again probably. You got Jonnu or Gronkowski?
I'm going to go Gronk.
Yeah, I'll go Gronk on that one. Bad game from Gronk last week, but no.
I think that the whole team is going to come back around. Tom Brady doesn't lose like that ever, and I can't imagine him blowing it again next week.
Yeah. Jonnu or Jared Cook?
Jonnu.
I'll go Jonnu on that one. Jonnu or Gesicki? I just want you to throw in Jonnu. Gesicki's dead to me, dude.
Yeah, I'm not trusting Gesicki. I would almost play the other Miami tight end.
All right, one more. Jonnu, last one. Jonnu or Jimmy Graham? Jimmy Graham's Monday night.
Delaney Walker.
No, Jonnu or Jimmy Graham Monday night against the Minnesota Vikings?
Ooh. Yeah, no, I'm doing Jonnu.
I think I'm going to go Jimmy Graham because at least I know even if he doesn't fall in the end zone, he'll get me at least 3-4 catches for 40 yards.
Will he, though?
Jonnu might only get me 2 catches for 20 yards. Like I said, he hasn't been getting targeted. So, all right, that's just kind of where we stand on Jonnu.
Jonnu. Yeah, the thing is that you may not play the tight end, but you play the Tennessee Titans or defense.
I'm not mad at starting the Titans defense. I know they haven't been the greatest, but short week, division game. I don't feel confident in Phillip Rivers at all. I think he's thrown for multiple interceptions and quite a few games.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be mad at starting Phillip. I think this will be, both teams will probably lean on the run a little bit more.
Yeah.
So maybe this game will go under.
Let's talk. What's the spread on this game?
So it's a pick 'em. It went from Titans -2. I bet earlier in the week.
You got -2.
I took Titans -2.
Yikes.
But sometimes you got to fade the money. Like all the money's going on one way, and any shark will tell you fade the money, go on the opposite side. Because when the public's going one way, do you ever notice too? Like when you're like, who do you like this week? And everyone's like, well, I like the Ravens. Like, who do you like? Ravens.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, I like the Ravens.
You're like,
maybe?
fuck.
Yeah, like, fuck.
Yeah, too much.
But yeah, it's a pick 'em now, and the over under is 48.5. What do you say on this one?
I don't like that over under. Anything like 48 is so fucking sketchy to me. Like, I don't know. Unless it's like 43 or 55, then I can kind of like. I feel like I have wiggle room either way, or I don't know, but 48, that scares the fuck out of me. So I wouldn't touch that over under, to be honest. If pick 'em, I'm gonna go Titans on this one. Titans, Ryan Tannehill has had a bad couple weeks. I think he bounces back. It's in Tennessee. It is a division game. I think they need to win this one. I'm going to go Titans.
Yeah, I'll go Titans as well on this
Yeah.
one.
I mean, obviously, you took the -2. So.
Yeah, I took a -2, so I'll go with the Titans as well. If I was going to do over/under, I'd probably go under. But that one, like you said, sometimes
I don't want. I just don't.
You
I
don't
don't
have
want
to
to
always
that.
bet everything.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that maybe in another episode or something new.
Yeah, something's coming new, by the way.
But yeah,
about
I
more
would take the
bets.
Titans.
Yeah,
I would take the Titans.
I'm with you on that. All right, well, we can move on to our playoffs. Buy low and sell high. The playoffs are coming.
So yeah, we're in week 10. You got the playoffs that are around the corner. We're pretty much, I think I said on the waiver episode, we're entering like the fourth quarter of the season. So
yes,
you're trying to. I mean, you
5
might
minutes left. You got
you,
3 timeouts.
Yeah, you might be primed. You might be, 8-1, 7-2. You might be looking good to make the playoffs. But on the flip side, you might be like 5-4, 4-5, and you're like, okay, I need to make some moves here to really get into the playoffs and make a playoff push. And then when I get in the playoffs, I want to try to have the best optimal lineup that I can. So me and Mike, we're just going to go over some players. The Messiah, a.k.a. Andre Navarro, and Billabong Boy, Anthony. They sent us in. They couldn't be here, but they sent us in a couple of the players that they like as well. So we'll go over some guys that they like and then some guys that me and Mike like. Just some guys like not necessarily buy low, sell high, but just some guys that I'm trying to trade for and I'm trying to acquire for my playoff push and my playoff run once I get into the playoffs. And then on the flip side, some guys that don't have the greatest playoff schedules or the rest of season schedules. So some guys that I will be trying to trade. Maybe some people aren't looking at that far into the future. They might bite on those guys who are some pretty good guys, some pretty good name values that you could probably flip and get something pretty good for. So yeah, some guys we want to get, some guys that we don't want to get.
Let's do it here. My first guy is we're gonna go through buys first, guys we want to get going into the playoffs. I put Jonathan Taylor here. I know we just talked about him. I think this guy still owns that offense backfield or that backfield. And he gets to play the Texans twice and before the end of the season, before even week 17. So you'll get him playing the Texans, which are not a good run defense, in week 12 and also in I think they play in week 11. Did I get that right?
I'm not looking at the schedule.
Oh, excuse me. No, you're good. But yeah, they get to play the Texans twice. So that sounds good to me. And right now, everybody's down on Jonathan Taylor. You could get him for pretty cheap. If you could do, I'm trying to think of a scenario how you could get Jonathan Taylor, but I don't think you would have to trade very much. Maybe you're high on receiver. Maybe you can trade like a Jamison Crowder and, a receiver that you're starting week in and week out. Or for Jonathan Taylor, people are down on him right now. So that's my buy for the playoffs.
Yeah, one of the better playoff schedules, like Mike said. So, and if he can take control of that backfield and not fumble the ball, then yeah, he's definitely got a ton of upside.
Yep. Let's go on to yours here. We got this one was Anthony's. He had us throw this in here. He's got Nick Chubb. Yeah, I mean, this is probably like before this week starts, this is like the time to grab Nick Chubb, I think.
Yeah, so they're saying that he isn't 100% sure if he's going to come back this week or not, but I think he'll come back. I think this is like the date that they've been, aiming for his return to come back. But, I mean, yeah, if you can go get Nick Chubb, I think it's kind of hard because if I have Nick Chubb, I've been holding on to him this whole time. It's like right when he comes back, am I finally going to trade down to it? You know what I'm saying? It's
yeah, someone offered me CMC for Nick Chubb, and I was like, dude, I've been waiting 7 weeks for this running back. I'm not going to trade for a running back that's hurt. Yeah, CMC puts up bigger numbers sometimes, but you never know.
Yeah. But, yeah, if you can go get Nick Chubb, some crazy good games down the stretch, we thought Kareem Hunt would come in and really just take over and dominate, but Kareem Hunt's done okay, but he's not the same runner that Nick Chubb was for these Cleveland Browns over here. I'm trying to pull up the schedule for 1 second. They got some juicy matchups down the stretch. If you can get Chubb, I mean, it's like I said, it'll be tough, but once you get there, I mean, they'll play Houston this week, who they are one of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. Week 11, they play against the Philadelphia Eagles. A little tougher matchup, but it is Nick Chubb's, and this offensive line is one of the better offensive lines. And, what do they want to do? The Cleveland Browns, they want to run the football. Then you get the Jacksonville Jaguars, not very good. Tennessee's not very good. Week 14, tougher matchup against Baltimore Ravens. But weeks 15 and week 16, you get two green-rated matchups. Green-rated matchups meaning good matchups. Those are like the money matchups. Plays against the Giants and the New York Jets. So, yeah, if you can go get Nick Chubb, Go do it. And if you already did it before this hearing this, it's good for you.
Yeah. Great for you. By the way, Jonathan Taylor, he's got the week 13, which is the first round of playoffs, and then week 11 against the Texans. But yeah, I love it. I love if you can get Nick Chubb right now. I mean,
even Kareem Hunt. Someone might have Kareem Hunt and be like, okay, maybe they grab Kareem Hunt on the waiver wire. Or maybe, they had a ton of other running backs, and then the Kareem Hunt's been like their flex guy because they drafted some running backs high. So maybe someone might be thinking like, oh, Chubb's coming back. Let me flip Kareem Hunt to get like a receiver or a tight end or anything. Maybe they're just trying to move Kareem Hunt. I would be willing to go out and acquire Kareem Hunt. He was actually putting up some pretty good numbers and maybe even better numbers when Chubb was in the offense. So, yeah, I would definitely go get either Chubb or Kareem Hunt if I could.
I like that. You threw in that Kareem Hunt in there. I like it. Yeah, because that's sneaky. You're so smart. All right, let's go on to the next one here. We got Aaron Jones. It'll be hard to acquire Aaron Jones possibly just because he's such a name the past 2 years. I'll admit I've been wrong on this guy. He just is a touchdown machine. He just becomes such a big part of this Packers offense. So, yeah, if you can get Aaron Jones before the end of the season, I fucking love it, dude.
Yeah, he's got one of the best remaining schedules and one of the best playoff schedules. But, I mean, you might be able to get him on the low. I mean, they have the bye, and then he comes back. He plays against the Bucs. He doesn't have a good game. He gets you 13 points. He finds the end zone, but then he gets banged up. He misses 2 games. Then he comes back against the Niners, puts up another 13 points, but doesn't find the end zone. So he hasn't put up like a crazy – I feel like Aaron Jones is like kind of known for putting up these like crazy 30, 40-point games sometimes. So he hasn't done anything that crazy right now. So you could potentially go out there and sway the Aaron Jones owner and get him. I'm not sure what you have to flip it, but I mean, once you get into the playoffs, you got the Eagles week 13, week 14, and week 15 when you're in the playoffs. These are green-rated matchups. You're playing against the Lions, and you're playing against the Carolina Panthers. They're both bottom 5 in terms of against the running back. And then week 16, home against the Tennessee Titans. They're not very good at defending the run either. So it'd be some juicy matchups. I would bank that, at the end of the year, they always have like who were the percentage, like this player was the highest owned player on championship team.
Yeah.
I think Aaron Jones will be one of those players, like the top 3 player of like Aaron Jones was on the most championship teams because that's how good Aaron Jones is going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. I think you're right on that one. All right, we'll move on to the next one here. We got Allen Robinson. You going to buy low on Allen Robinson? Getting all those targets?
Yeah, this is Dre's dude right here. I would say Dre's dude. But you got Allen Robinson. I mean, one of the better remaining schedules for all wide receivers. I mean, and when you think of a guy who's just getting funnel targets, I mean, he's just constantly getting peppered with targets. Coming off the bye. Well, no, they play Minnesota this week. So it should be a good game. Then he's going on a bye. Then week 12, he plays at Green Bay. He'll see Jair Alexander, who's actually the number 1 rated corner on Pro Football Focus. Jair Alexander for the Packers, playing some pretty good football. Week 13 against the Lions, nothing crazy over there. But then weeks 14, 15, and 16, he plays against the Houston Texans, green-rated matchup, Minnesota Vikings, green-rated matchup, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who aren't very good at defending the pass at all. So, yeah, Allen Robinson should be a guy where he puts up a safe floor. Like, he's got a high floor, high ceiling for the rest of the season, or at least in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Bears just have a pretty juicy the matchup schedule. It's actually pretty good for David Montgomery as well.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham has the.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the Bears just in general.
They have a good. They just have a good.
But then I think that even helps. Like say, hey, let me go get Allen Robinson. Okay, if all these other guys are doing good too, then they can't really key on me. And if we're moving the ball, more points or opportunities, more first downs, et cetera. So yeah, Allen Robinson, a good guy to go acquire for your playoff run.
The way. All right, here we got Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson still pretty good. He still has the rushing upside. He's had some bad weeks. So, I mean, you have Lamar Jackson. Are you fiending to get rid of him?
I was at one point until I looked at his playoff schedule. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'm not.
Less.
Oh, yeah, I'm not. So,
yeah.
I actually picked up Drew Brees in one league. I feel like people were sleeping on Drew Brees just because, he didn't have Michael Thomas. Manny Sanders.
Michael Thomas is a game changer.
Yeah, it literally is. We see how I'm totally swaying off this thing. Anyways, I feel like people are sleeping on Drew Brees. But yeah, Lamar Jackson, if you have him, I know it's been disappointing because you probably some people probably spent a first-round draft pick on him. But if not, you probably spent a second round, third round at the latest draft pick. That's when I got him in the third round. But you're not happy with what you've gotten so far from Lamar Jackson. I mean, you're hoping to see these MVP type of numbers that he was putting up last year. Obviously, you thought he would have some regression and those numbers would dip down. He's obviously not going to rush for 1,200 yards and break the rushing record for a quarterback again. But were you thinking he could get me 800 yards, as a floor? Yeah, and then you got the touchdown upside as well. But he's been nowhere even near that. And then he's not a very good passer at all.
Yeah, I mean, his accuracy is really bad. I mean, I've said that since his pro day. I don't know if you remember. I used to say that during his pro day. I was not impressed.
Yeah.
But like you said though, his schedule looks good. If you can get him on the low.
Well, I mean, one thing, take it for what it's worth, but I think and this is one thing I was kind of talking to someone off air about. I don't know if they were just, you can't have your quarterback, your franchise quarterback, run the ball 170, 180 times like they did last year. Eventually, he's going to get banged up. I mean, it's barely you see these running backs. Look at Chris McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley. I mean, Chubb, Miles Sanders. All these running backs, they get banged up and they miss games. So,
and that's why you see
I was thinking,
convergence to like committees.
Yeah, but what I was getting at is I feel like they didn't want him to come out and rush the ball like a madman to start the season. They wanted to kind of like take it easy on him. Like, hey, we're going to run the ball with these three running backs. We don't want you to get banged up. We're trying to make a playoff run. We're trying to win a Super Bowl. But for like I said, for what it's worth, since their Week 7 bye, he's had 16 carries and 13 carries, and those are like the most he's had in the entire season. So he had one game in Week 2 where he had 16 carries, but outside of that, every other game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games under 10 carries. So could they be like taking off the chains and letting the leash off?
They're like, look,
Lamar
we need
Jackson?
to win a game, and this is how we do it: is we let Lamar loose.
Yeah, but then like I said, the playoff schedule is juicy down the stretch. Weeks 13, right before the playoffs, he plays against Dallas Cowboys. They're not very good. The Cleveland Browns defense has been okay, but you're not scared of the Cleveland Browns defense, especially if you're Lamar Jackson. He's just look at what he did to him in Week 1. It's arguably his best week of the season. Then Week 15 against the Jaguars, who are the defense that just keeps giving. And then Week 16 against the New York Giants. They're not one of the better defenses either. So I think Lamar Jackson, especially with the Ravens, who right now it's looking like the Steelers are going to win that division. Could they lose a couple games, and then maybe the Ravens are back in the hunt of trying to compete for the division title?
That's going to be a no.
Whether they are or not, they're still going to be competing with some teams in terms of seeding. Do you want to get the second seed, third, fourth, fifth seed? There'll be a bunch of teams right there who are probably going to be competing. So they're going to need Lamar Jackson to come out and put up some points and for them to win these games down the stretch. So, yeah, I think you can get Lamar Jackson on the low. I like it.
I like it. Go get him. We're still here on the buys. Let me know when we switch over. But we're going on to DeVante Parker. You're a Miami Dolphins guy here. I mean, sell me, dude. Why is it because Preston Williams is on IR?
This is Anthony's guy he wanted to throw in here, and yeah, kind of it is that. I mean, I'm not saying it's all that, but I mean, we saw last year
when Preston Williams isn't there.
Yeah, when Preston Williams isn't there, they literally just funnel the ball to DeVante Parker.
Yeah.
We saw it last year. You know, when Preston Williams went down, that's when DeVante Parker really blew up, and he was getting like pretty much 10 targets a game, which would just give you a safe floor. And then the guy is a really great contested catch guy. But yeah, Preston Williams leaves this game against the Cardinals, gets banged up. They put him on IR, so he's at least 3 weeks where he's not going to be playing. So yeah, you got DeVante Parker. Even last week when he was being shadowed by Patrick Peterson for the majority of the game, still gets you 6 catches for 64 yards. So a safe floor in PPR. But yeah, it's got some, this weekend it might be a little tough. But like I said, here's a guy where
maybe wait till after this weekend to go get him.
Yeah, but maybe I'll go get him.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I feel like now that he's getting 10 targets a game, or I'm not saying now that he's getting 10 targets a game, but if he gets 8 to 10 targets a game now with no Preston Williams, they have no one else. They traded Isaiah Ford away, who was like their third string receiver. Jakeem Grant's kind of a little smaller scat back.
Yeah.
They have some rookies, Lynn Bowden, Malcolm Perry, those guys, but Gesicki's kind of just been non-existent. Does he get incorporated a little bit more? Maybe he does. But I do think that DeVante Parker can see a good amount of target volume, and we've seen it to where it doesn't matter who's guarding DeVante Parker. He can get it done. So it's not like, DeVante Parker's going against Stephon Gilmore. I don't want to start him. No, he's put up numbers against him. Last week he's playing against Patrick Peterson. It doesn't matter. He still got you 6 for 64. So a guy that you could go out there and, I don't want to say matchup proof, but if he's getting 8 to 10 targets, a guy who I think could be pretty successful for your fantasy team.
Hey, sold me. I'm going to go get him. Cooper Kupp, another buy low. He's had some rough weeks. I mean, he's going to be really whoever owns him is going to be kind of like we're saying, they're going to be low on him.
Yeah. I mean, Cooper Kupp, this is more for like a PPR league, more than like half point and standard. So if you're in a PPR league, I do like Cooper Kupp. Like you said, I mean, he's got, pretty much 6 of 8 games, he's gotten you 11 or more PPR points, so not that bad. He's only had kind of like 2 really dud games. I think he's just one of those guys where he'll have a safe floor each and every week. I mean, they got one of the juiciest schedules going up. They play against the Seahawks this week. He might see another 20 targets like he did last week or last game he played. Then you got the Bucks, which is a tougher matchup. San Francisco is okay. Arizona is okay. New England, that's a little tougher. But then weeks 15, week 16, you got the Jets, and the Seahawks again. Those are both green-rated matchups.
Seahawks, just the Seahawks alone.
Yeah. So if you can get Cooper Kupp, I would definitely try to acquire him. Even Robert Woods would be just any of these Rams pass catchers. If you can get Woods or you can get Cooper Kupp, I think both these guys are going to have some safe floors.
Yeah, I had someone asking me, should I trade Robert Woods for someone, and I mentioned that their playoff schedule is great, so I would not. Even though you win short term right here, you're going to lose long term. Unless you're like 1 in whatever. I can't remember when it was. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Are we going on to the sells here? Sell. Yeah, we're going on the sells. These people are going to be looking better than what their playoff schedule looks like. It might get worse for them or not be ideal. Whereas you could get some value. So we got the first one here. We got Adam Thielen. I feel like Adam Thielen's like what, wide receiver 1?
He was up there for a while. He's wide receiver 15 right now.
Huh.
I mean, he did have a crazy start. The first 6 weeks, he put up some crazy good numbers. Only 1 dud game out of the first 6 games. Then they have the bye, but the last 2 weeks have not been good. He's seen a combined 9 targets in the 2 games, only 5 receptions, only gets you 65
so is this a
receiving
sell high
yards,
or a buy
0
low?
touchdowns. This would be a buy low.
Excuse me.
Yeah, not buy low. This would be a guy I'd be trying to trade away. So
yeah.
I'm kind of in a dilemma where I am trying to get Cooper Kupp in one of my leagues. I do think Thielen's value is so higher than Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
That I'm thinking about just trying to do Thielen for Kupp, but I don't know.
That's it. You could get more.
I don't know if I feel like should I just do it just so I can get the safe floor? Because if I was to bank on it, I would think that Thielen is so touchdown dependent. I would bank that Cooper Kupp would score more points the rest of the season than Adam Thielen does. But just some tough matchups down the stretch. I mean, this week he's in Chicago against the Bears. Then he gets the Cowboys. That's juicy. Carolina's been pretty stout. Jacksonville's a good one, week 13. But then weeks 14, 15, 16, when you get in the playoffs, he's at Tampa Bay. He'll probably see a good amount of Carlton Davis, who's been pretty solid. Week 15, they're against the Chicago Bears again, who are one of the best pass defenses in the NFL. And then week 16, at New Orleans against the Saints, he could see a shadow from Marshawn Lattimore. So it's just not the nicest, friendliest playoff schedule and rest of season schedule for a guy like Adam Thielen. If you could move him off of the hot start he had, like I said, he's had a couple bad games.
He's got a big name too. People
I
look
would
at
try
Adam Thielen a
to
certain
move
type
him.
of way.
I actually sent a trade. I don't know if the guy's going to do it or not, but I sent DeAndre Swift and Adam Thielen to get D-Hop. So I'm just like, okay, maybe I could try to sway that if I can. Diop coming off a bad game. I've also done some like Adam Thielen and DeAndre Swift to get Derrick Henry. See if maybe I can get someone to bite on that. Maybe you do Adam Thielen and a running back, or Adam Thielen and another wide receiver, and you get one of these like top tier receivers. If I could trade Adam Thielen and another, like a low wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, and I get one of these like top 5 guys like Tyreek Hill, even Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, D-Hop, I would definitely be trying to make that move. Package him and try to, upgrade at the position.
Yeah, I'm with that. If you could pull off that trade, I mean, fucking 100%. Send it. Fuck it. Send it in. All right, let's go on to the next sell here. We got Antonio Gibson. I don't remember whose this was.
This was Anthony's. Billabong boy.
Billabong boy. Billabong boy says to get rid of Antonio Gibson. Do you agree with this one?
I mean, if you could sell him and get a more consistent, reliable player. I asked him, I was like, what do you, like, give me a description of why you don't want him or why you would be trying to trade him away. He said workload and game scripts. But I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we've seen, we even went over it in the waiver wire episode. J.D. McKissick has outsnapped him in 6 of 8 games. And J.D. McKissick is the, shockingly, J.D. McKissick is the pass-catching running back out of this group, even though Antonio Gibson plays receiver.
He was a receiver in college. Yeah, it's weird to me, too. I just feel like Antonio Gibson's just better, which is so frustrating. But, the workload, he's right on that with the workload. It really is like you're not getting exactly what you want out of him. The only reason he's been still fantasy relevant is because he's making – well, first, there's all these running backs that are going down. I mean, that's why I'm playing him in a lot of leagues. But, he's being really fantasy relevant because he gets stuff done with the carries and receptions he does get. So, yeah, I'm with you on that with the workload. If you can sell him.
I mean, he's the goal line back for them. I don't know if it's because McKissick is maybe the veteran and he's still the rookie, still learning all that, the pass pros and all that stuff.
Alex Smith hyper targets J.D. McKissick. So, I don't think it gets better for Gibson.
Yeah. I mean, he's got, let's see, check his playoff schedule real quick. Let's see if I can find him. Where's that? His playoff schedule is okay. It's in the middle. But like I said, he's splitting time with a guy like J.D. McKissick. So I think
if that's your
I think he's like a touchdown guy. He's almost like a Jonathan Taylor where, he can get you some good production. But if he doesn't find the end zone, I'm not sure if, he's going to put up some decent numbers there. But who are some guys that you would maybe be trying to move from? Would you, and I don't think Anthony would agree with on this one, but would you trade Antonio Gibson to acquire David Montgomery, pending that David Montgomery's healthy?
Say it again.
Would you trade Gibson for Montgomery, or who would you?
Yeah.
I
would do it. Just for the Montgomery's got a good playoff schedule. Yeah,
I would do
that for sure.
Montgomery being the only guy there too, as well.
Yeah.
Would you do Antonio Gibson or Leonard Fournette?
Oh,
it's like, do you want to kick in the dick or kick in the balls?
Do you want me to twist your nipples while I kick you in the nuts, or?
I think I would go Fournette actually on that one, just because better offense, more opportunities to score in the goal line, and I think Fournette would be like the goal line back there as well. And Fournette's being utilized out of the passing.
He is. I think. I really think it's because Leonard Fournette is better blocker, so it's like they're using him more in that way. I don't.
If I could get maybe the guy who's got Myles Gaskin, he's like, oh, I need to win now. But you're sitting nice. Like, hey, you're like, you're going to make the playoffs. And you have Myles or you have the guy needs running backs and he's got Myles Gaskin, maybe you ship him Gibson and you get Gaskin. Gaskin, a good little playoff schedule when he comes back. It's only 3 to 4 weeks tops with a knee injury. I think once Gaskin comes back, he's been one of the safest RB2s the entire season. What about would you be willing to take the gamble on trading Antonio Gibson and getting Austin Eckler?
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Thinking that he comes back or not.
Yeah.
For the upside of what Eckler could be when he comes back.
I suppose, yeah. I mean, if I have a couple different running backs, like I'm in a situation where I'm in a spot because I have Gibson, Fournette, and then I think Chase Edmonds is like my running backs right now in one league. So, I mean, if I'm in a spot like that, I'll just run with Leonard Fournette and Chase Edmonds for the next couple weeks, and then hopefully be able to move on to Austin Eckler if he comes back for the playoffs. That'd be great. I mean, yeah, it's sketchy because we literally haven't heard what's up with Austin Eckler.
Yeah. But a guy Eckler could get you 20, 30 points in a game.
Yeah, I would.
Gibson, we've yet to see him, hit one of those or be like a guy like that, a big boom guy. But,
yeah.
Just some names there.
Yeah. All right, well, do you want to move on to the next one here?
Let's do it.
Let's sell Ezekiel Elliot, the running back for the Dallas Cowboys. I can't believe we're saying this, but, dude, Zeke, if you can sell on his name, he's had, 3 weeks under 10 PPR points?
Yeah.
That's unacceptable on my team, all right? If I drafted you third overall, I need more than that from you. I just can't. Like Anthony said on other podcasts, I just can't do. I can't do that. I think he's gonna. Or what did he say? Jesus, I'm all over the place. He said how Zeke just doesn't look like he cares. Ever since Dak went down, his just numbers weren't really far down. Pollard looks like a little better than him. Yeah, I'm down to get rid of Zeke.
It's like he got paid. He knows they're not going to make the playoffs, so he's just like, I'm just going out here and doing. He's
like, I don't want to really hurt myself.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, there's no point in me going out here, But I think he doesn't care either. But yeah, if you could sell Zeke, he was a sit for us. But I mean, 0 touchdowns in his last 4 games, and he hasn't had more than 70 rushing yards since week 5. And he's getting the carries. I mean, he's getting 20 touches. What is it? 20 touches. And he's just not putting up numbers. This offense is just bad without. Does it get better with Andy Dalton? Maybe. But even that one game with Andy Dalton, it didn't look very good. So who knows what to expect. If you can trade him away, I would. I mean, they're on a bye this week. Then you got Minnesota, which is a decent matchup. They've been a little bit better as of late. Washington's pretty stingy against the run. Ravens are stingy against the run. Weeks 14 against the Bengals, that one's not too bad. But then weeks 15 and week 16, if you make it to the semifinal or the championship in your league, you're playing against the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Those are both red matchups. So that's not good for a guy like Zeke who's struggling a ton right now.
Yeah. Who would you trade for him? Or trade him for?
I mean, we can go over some names. I mean, if I could trade Elliott for Chubb right now, I would do it.
Or trade Elliott for like Montgomery and someone else.
Or maybe like the running back value might not be what you want it, especially spending a top 5 pick, but maybe someone is willing to give you a top tier receiver for a guy like Zeke. Maybe you have a couple of the running backs, you feel comfortable playing him in there. And it's like, okay, if I can flip Zeke, who has no upside right now. Like, it's like he has no 20, 25-point upside at all. But if I can flip Zeke for a receiver that I know that if they go off, they're going to get me 25, 30 points, I would be willing to take that gamble and flipping a guy like Zeke for like a superstar wide receiver if you can. Or maybe you do Zeke in like a lower-tier receiver or something like that. And one thing I say, too, is because I know I'm like the guy who's always talking about trades probably more than anybody in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think when you get to a point, like I said earlier, I feel like I'm thinking about sending this trade to Adam Thielen to get Cooper Kupp. I might even throw up Phillip Lindsay just to get Cooper Kupp because it's like I just want to get my guy. I don't want him to be like, I don't know. Like it's just a lateral move, a receiver for a receiver. But if I can throw in that extra little cherry on top to get my guy, I feel like start trading away some of this depth that you have because there's no reason to having these guys on your bench. You're not playing them now. You're not going to play them when you get in the championship. So even if you have to – I did a 3-for-1 earlier and got DK Metcalf, but then that freed up a couple spots on my bench
which is nice.
I went out and got Phillip Lindsay, and I went up and got Mike Williams. So it's almost like a 3-for-3 trade.
Wait, you did that in the marquee league?
No, this is a different league.
Oh, okay.
But you get what I'm saying, though? It's like sometimes you might have to give a little bit more just to get your guy. But if you have the depth, then pull the trigger and make it happen. I mean, I was answering a question earlier. Some guy said, I have Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. Should I trade Josh Allen to get A.J. Brown? And I was like, yeah, you pretty much have 2 top 10 quarterbacks. I mean, Herbert has one of the best playoff schedules there is. Josh Allen does not. I was like, if you could trade a top 10 quarterback to get a top 15 receiver and then you still have a top 10 quarterback, why wouldn't you do that? I mean, there's no point in holding on to a guy. Make a move. Go upgrade at some positions.
I love it. Do it. Do what he says. Okay, well, let's go on to our last one here. I got sell Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel's been doing really well as of late. I'm not sold that that's going to be the rest of the season. I mean, I think that me and you are kind of in agreement here. Anthony and Dre will disagree with us here, but I think that Robby Anderson is the number one on this number one receiver on this offense. You know, I think that while he's high, I'd be selling him.
Curtis Samuel?
Yes.
Yeah, I would too. I don't know how efficient he can stay. I mean, he's been hyper efficient since he's come back from, I think it was an injury or something like that. But yeah, he's been hyper efficient. And yeah, I agree with you too. I think Robby Anderson is the receiver I would prefer to have out of all 3 of them. So yeah, if you could flip Curtis Samuel for something, I would definitely do that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play the Packers, Broncos.
Maybe try to flip Curtis Samuel for DeVante Parker. Maybe try to flip Curtis Samuel and someone for Cooper Kupp. You know, someone might bite.
Yeah.
Someone might bite on it.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy that you should put like in package trades, or maybe you can like do a tier for a more reliable running back or wide receiver and put that receiver in for a bigger trade. You know, yeah, I can't. I think he's at his peak value right at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, he'd be a good guy, like I said. You package him with someone else and then really upgrade at a position.
Yeah, like you can get a more consistent wide receiver
consistent.
that you can go turn around again.
Yeah. And
get one of these guys like we're talking about. I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, is there any honorable mentions you want to add in there?
If there's another receiver from the Panthers I'd be trying to sell, it'd be DJ Moore. He's just too inconsistent, too boomer bust for me. They have one of the worst playoff schedules down the stretch. I mean, they play against the Bucs this week. Detroit is okay. Minnesota's easy. Then they have a bye, so it's one game he's not even going to play any of these receivers.
Yep.
Then Denver in Week 14. That's not bad. Bryce Callahan has been playing pretty good for the Denver Broncos, so I'm not sure if he would be on DJ Moore.
Wait, they have a Week 13 bye?
Yeah. And then Weeks 15, Week 16, these are red-rated matchups for the Carolina Panthers wide receivers. They play against the Packers in Lambeau, and then they play in Washington against the football team. So definitely 2 red-rated matchups right there. Yeah. I don't like DJ Moore either.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I drafted him in a couple leagues, and I'm so mad I did. But it's okay. I got Robby Anderson, so I played it safe.
Yeah, you got the real number one.
But yeah, I mean, that's about it on this one for the buy and sell going into the playoffs. Hopefully this helped you guys out a bit. Try and give you some extra knowledge besides just the Thursday night football preview. Now you know who to start and who to sit going into your going into the Thursday night game. Hopefully we're right on here and the Titans win. Maybe if you go put a bet on there, you bet with us, you'll win as well. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment down below. If you leave comments in the live chat, I should mention this at the beginning of the podcast, but it's hard for us to see them. I try and respond right away because these are pre-recorded. But yeah, you're better off leaving a comment on the actual video. So once it finishes premiering, what's it called? Yeah, follow us or subscribe to us on the Apple Podcast app. Leave us a rating and review a little down on the bottom. Helps us out big time.
Big time.
If you're already subscribed on the Apple Podcast app, go ahead and unsubscribe and resubscribe. It helps us out. Subscribe to us on YouTube. It helps us out big time. And yeah, thanks for listening. This has been the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. And us big boys are out.